The Castle, Episode 5, Shadows of the Past, written by Eleanor Wells. Interior, Keene's estate, living room, day. England, 1965. Young Keene, 25, wears a suit and tries to read a book, but ends up scanning over the same sentence again and again. He looks the same, just younger. He listens to classical music on vinyl record player. His mother, Evelyn, enters. Keene puts the book aside and looks at her.
James?
Yes?
Evelyn sits beside her son.
Why won't you speak to me? You've been so sullen ever since you've returned, and that was months ago. It's not like you.
I can't get America out of my mind, Mother.
Is it a woman?
Keene stares at her.
Yes.
Call it mother's intuition.
She's poor, an artist.
Did she feel the same about you?
Yes, I believe she does.
And you left her?
I didn't see a way that it'd be possible. She was an indiscretion. One I can't get out of my mind.
James, you always were a strange boy. You know, your father always worried about you.
Yes, Mother. You remind me at every opportunity.
So do I. Has this girl been divorced?
No, I don't believe so.
Is she Catholic?
Not sure.
If she's Catholic and divorced, what does it matter if she's American?
Mother, how come we don't go to Venice anymore?
The castle? That was your father's place, and it hasn't been the same since he left us. Besides, you're an adult, James. If you'd like to go, feel free. Everything is just as he left it.
I may. Not today or tomorrow. But soon.
Whenever you'd like.
Exterior, the castle, day. Still November 1965. Keene drives up to the castle and parks. He gets out and takes a moment to glance at the lake. Interior, the castle, main hall, day. 20 years earlier, the castle may as well be something out of Edgar Allan Poe. The furniture is outdated, dusty. A lot of it is covered up. He looks around the hall and wonders what could be. Interior, the castle, banquet hall, dream. 1985. In her dream, Dorothy is sitting in the banquet hall with Gavin, Sylvie, Marta, and Lucy. Sunlight floods into the room. Gavin holds her hand. They all drink wine out of fancy glasses. They're physically close and exchange a loving look.
You guys are the best friends I've ever had.
Just then the sky clouds over. It thunders and then rains. Sylvie starts to gag and eventually keels over. The dream does not end until she watches everyone die. Exterior, the castle, lake shore, dream. In Dorothy's next dream, it's a perfect, peaceful, still afternoon. She sits at the dock, dipping her feet into the water. Her eyes turn to a motorboat, and she hears laughter. Then the boat blows up before her eyes. Interior, Dorothy's hospital room, day. Eventually, Dorothy's surroundings become clear. She's in a hospital room. She realizes something else, too. Her mother is sitting at her bedside.
Hi, sweetheart.
Mom, what are you doing here?
After you called the police and they called me, of course I booked the first ticket here.
What about money?
The gals at the airport helped me out. They were happy to do it.
Something smells amazing.
With shaky hands, Lily shows Dorothy a brown paper bag.
They said you weren't eating, but I got this from the bakery.
Dorothy says nothing nothing, she sits up in her hospital bed and takes the bag.
It's got a shortbread. There's a bakery by my hotel. They baked it this morning.
Dorothy takes a small piece and eats it. She takes a larger one. Slowly but surely, she eats the shortbread.
How long have I been here?
Couple of days.
She pauses, taking Dorothy's hand. Rather than shirk back, Dorothy allows her to hold it.
Listen, sweetheart, some people from Scotland Yard came in asking for you. I told them to come back. I think they want to ask you some questions about what exactly happened.
A lump forms in Dorothy's throat.
So he's dead? They're all really dead?
Yes.
Where's Gavin?
Gavin?
Um,
Oh, your friend. He's here. I met his mom in the hall. She's a nice lady.
um,
What is it?
before he shot himself, he told me something. He said that he was my father.
What?
Recognition slowly forms on Lily's face.
He said that he went by Jim and tried to pass himself off as an average person, and that he met you in San Francisco when you were going to college there.
I dropped out when you were born and moved back to Atlanta with Grandma.
How come you never told me?
I didn't want you to feel like you were guilty for anything.
Anyway, he told you he was from Manchester, and 3 days, that's all you had. 3 days before he went back to England.
Oh my God.
Lily lets go of her daughter's hand and takes a moment to catch her breath.
Dorothy, I never told you about him because I suppose I thought I was protecting you, but I will tell you whatever you want to know.
Whatever you want to tell me.
He was sweet, a little socially awkward, and I loved his accent.
Interior, San Francisco, bar, day. We hear the music, the chatter, and the activity of a busy bar. It's February 1965. First, we see young Keene. He's just as he described himself to Dorothy, dressed like Donovan, longer hair, undeniably handsome. At first, unrecognizable, but if you look hard enough, you see the same person. He walks into the bar and goes up to order a drink from the bartender. As he waits for his drink, he notices young Lily standing beside him. She's more fresh-faced and looks even more like Dorothy than when we last saw her. They lock eyes, and from the way they both smile at each other, there's clearly an instant attraction.
Hi,
Hi,
I'm Lily Gardner.
Jim Blackburn. Are you here alone?
I was here with a friend, but she went outside with this guy. I don't think she's coming back.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Can't blame her. He was real cute.
Keene gives her a look. He takes a drink, a bit of liquid courage, and finally he speaks.
Do you live in the city, Lily?
I'm in school here, yeah. I'm from Atlanta originally.
What's in Atlanta?
Not much. Peaches, I guess. Why do you think I came here?
Keene blushes, very much attracted to her, and wants to say the right thing.
What do you study?
Art, I guess. I draw, I paint, all sorts of things. I'm in this philosophy class too. I guess I like anything creative.
you want to do something with that one day?
Maybe.
Why maybe?
Right now, I'm just taking each day as it comes. Where are you from? Your accent, it's different.
Manchester, in England,
Where's that?
a few hours north of London.
So you move here or just visiting?
I moved.
Why?
I wanted something different. It's nothing much back home.
Hey, do you have anything planned tonight?
No.
Neither do I. My roommate's out of town for the weekend and I don't want to be alone.
Keene gives her a look. Interior, Lily's apartment, bedroom, night. A small bohemian apartment. Lily and Keene lie on the bed. Neither one of them are wearing any clothes. They've just finished having sex.
Where have you been all my life, Lily Gardner?
Across an ocean, I guess.
You're very beautiful.
So are you. I love the way you say my name.
Lily Gardner.
Lily blushes.
I used to get bullied in school because of my name. It's not Lillian, by the way. It's just Lily. My parents thought it would be pretty, but kids are kids, you know?
I think your name is beautiful.
You make it sound beautiful. I could listen to you talk all day.
I'm not going anywhere.
They kiss. Interior, Lily's apartment, living room, day. The next morning, Lily and Keene sit on her sofa in the combined kitchen and living area. She tries to read a textbook, but Keene takes her hand and kisses it. She smiles.
Let's go somewhere.
Such as?
Is there any place in the city that you love more than anything?
She smiles. Exterior, pier, day. The next day, Keene and Lily walk hand in hand. It's a beautiful day, and many are out and about enjoying it. They sit on a bench and watch as people take their boats out on the ocean. After a moment, Keene eyes a nearby ice cream stand.
You want anything?
Sure. Surprise me.
He kisses her and goes to get in line. As he does, Lily remains seated on the bench. They steal looks at each other as he waits. Keene shortly comes back with 2 chocolate ice cream bars. He hands Lily one and keeps the other for himself.
I will say, it's nice to be out somewhere where the sun is out most days.
You must miss England, though.
Sometimes.
Do you have a family?
Yes.
My mother's back in Atlanta. When I was growing up, we didn't always have the best relationship. I guess I couldn't wait to get away. Since I moved here, I guess I miss her sometimes.
You feel like you made the wrong choice in coming home?
No, not necessarily.
That's how I feel about England. I miss it sometimes, but I made the right choice in coming here.
They share a loving look.
So, why take me to this pier?
I never got to see the ocean at home.
Why is it special to you?
Lily blushes.
When I was a kid, I'd imagine a boat would come and take me away to a better life. I can just drift away and leave all of my problems behind me.
What problems do you have here?
Somehow wanting to feel like I belong in this world.
I know exactly what you mean.
Interior, Lily's apartment, living room, day. The day after, Lily, in 1985, explains the scene to her daughter. Young Lily walks into the combined living room and kitchen area.
The next morning, he was gone, just like that.
Jim?
Then she sees a note on the table. She reads it, takes a moment to process, and then crumples the letter in her hands, trying not to get emotional. Interior, Dorothy's hospital room, day. Back to 1985 in the hospital room.
He called me one time. After he left, I just found out I was pregnant.
Lily is starting to cry now in her own world. Interior, Keene's estate, living room, later. Keene holds a handwritten piece of paper with a phone number shakily in his hands. On it is Lily's phone number. Eventually, he works up the courage to dial the phone. It rings for a seemingly endless amount of time. Then the phone picks up.
Lily,
Interior, Lily's apartment, living room, intercut. On a sunny San Francisco day, we see young Lily in day clothes as the phone rings. As the conversation continues, we see both sides of their conversations. Lily in a small apartment in San Francisco and young Keene in a massive estate somewhere in England.
Jim? I thought I'd never hear from you again. Also, it's 7 o'clock in the morning, you know.
what are you doing awake?
I just woke up. I had to start a new job. I'm a server at a restaurant. This is temporary until I can get on my feet.
I made a terrible mistake, Lily. My name is James. I go by James. I don't know why I told you to call me Jim. And I'm rich. I'm very rich. You can forgive me for lying.
Uh-huh. Where are you right now?
England, just outside of London. Actually, I'm not from Manchester. That was another pointless lie.
Okay.
There's an awkward silence on the phone.
Listen, you're not going to believe this, but I think fate, I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting you to actually call.
Well, I'm here, across the pond maybe, but here, with you.
James, I'm pregnant.
What? Are you sure?
I'm very sure. And before you say anything, there hasn't been anyone else. I swear on my life. Are you there?
Yes, yes.
Like I said, it's yours. 100%.
You're gonna keep the child.
Yes, of course I am. I can show you all these papers I got from the doctor if you don't believe me. Jim? James? Whatever your name is.
I'm here.
I'm not making this up.
I believe you.
Do you want to come back here? We could maybe be a family. The baby is due in November.
Lily, I don't think there's a chance for that.
There's a very long, very awkward silence. Then Keene hangs up the phone. Interior, Dorothy's hospital room, day. Back to the conversation, 1985, mother and daughter.
After that, I never heard from him again.
He said he really liked you and he was just scared.
Whatever.
He said he was the one who kept calling the house and hanging up. It was because you'd answer.
Lily takes a moment to process what she just said.
Oh my God, how could I have been so stupid?
Mom?
I never made the connection. What are the odds? He looked different then, you know? So when you were applying and stuff, I didn't recognize him. I saw a picture of him from recently, and I can't unsee it now. Seems plain as day.
So, he is my father?
Yes.
I never recorded the announcement special. You asked me to and I forgot. And maybe you would have known and you would have stopped me from going. He said he killed Sylvie because of me. Because he would have lost me. I saw my friends get blown up in a boat and I can't get it out of my head.
Dorothy starts to cry and Lily takes her in her arms.
It's okay. Just let it out.
My whole life, there was nothing I wanted more than two parents, or to at least know who he was.
I know, sweetheart, and I'm sorry I couldn't give you that. I thought if I didn't say anything, I would be protecting you, and we could just live our lives the best we could.
Mom,
What, sweetheart?
the other thing he told me was that you were interested in art and philosophy, and I didn't really know that because you don't talk about those things with me.
I have. Just not much. I'm not trying to keep anything from you. I'm just a private person.
I've been wondering if having me ruined your life or something.
It most certainly did not. And I don't ever want to hear those words out of your mouth again.
Well, I mean, if I hadn't have been born when I was, you could have stayed in school, or you could have been working a job that you actually like, or I don't know, something different.
Dorothy, one thing I've learned in my time on this earth is that we can't control the hands we're dealt, but we can most of them. Do you think I'm not happy?
Not all of the time, no.
I've had a good life. There have been struggles. I was scared as hell when I found out I was pregnant, but everyone's got their burden to bear. But you are what I'm most proud of.
So what was he like back then?
He was kind and very sweet. Of course, I loved his accent. He was so romantic. And I guess I just kind of got swept away.
I see.
Just then there's a knock at the door. A nurse enters.
Miss Gardner, I'm due to take your vitals.
Of course.
The nurse approaches her and begins a routine vitals check.
Have you seen Gavin? Gavin Wolf? Is he accepting visitors?
Mr. Wolf is still in recovery from his gunshot injury. He's lost quite a bit of blood, but he's progressing rather well.
I want to see him.
In due course, Miss Gardner.
She smiles at Dorothy and Lily.
I'll return this evening.
For a moment, mother and daughter sit in silence. Lily squeezes her daughter's hand again.
You were an awful crier at first.
I was?
I think going outside scared you.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Exterior, downtown Atlanta, day, 1966. Lily walks down the street, pushing baby Dorothy in a stroller. It's a perfect, beautiful day, but Lily can't help but notice all the couples that seem to be out and about. Still, she looks at her daughter and tries to smile. Then Dorothy starts to cry, and Lily sighs.
Sweetheart, it's okay.
Dorothy continues to cry, loud enough that others nearby look in Lily's direction. She pulls the stroller over near a bench and takes Dorothy in her arms, trying to rock her to sleep. Still, she continues to cry and only seems to get louder. Lily is clearly overwhelmed and flustered. Just then, a man approaches Lily. He looks stunningly like Keene, and it catches Lily off guard. Still, she knows it's not him. Confirmed when he speaks with an American accent. She eyes the wedding ring on his finger.
Bad day, huh?
I don't know what the matter is. I just changed her diaper and I fed her before we left.
Maybe she had a bad dream.
I don't know. She doesn't respond to me. I'm not a natural mother the way some are.
Sing her something.
Like what?
Well, that's up to you.
After a moment, Lily starts to hum the Beach Boys. Wouldn't it be nice? Dorothy clearly responds to the song and her crying subsides. Lily smiles tiredly.
How old is she?
5 months.
Is she your first? My wife and I have twins. They turn 2 next month. So this is all very familiar to me. We had double the trouble, but you'll get the hang of it.
At least you stood by your wife. You didn't leave her to raise the twins alone.
The man gives her a look, then approaches Lily and Dorothy. As he does, Dorothy smiles.
Cutie. What's her name?
Dorothy.
Well, I bet she's going to grow up to do great things.
Maybe.
Bye. Hope you both have a great day.
Lily's gaze lingers on the man as he continues along his way. Just as Lily thinks he's out of the woods, just as Lily thinks she's out of the woods, Dorothy starts to cry again, though not as loudly as before.
Come on.
She sits on the bench holding Dorothy in her arms and hums more of the song. Eventually, Dorothy calms down and smiles at her mother, even laughing a little.
It's you and me against the world, kid. One day, we'll live in a big, nice house with a big garden, and you can have everything you ever wanted. How does that sound?
Dorothy continues to smile.
I wonder what Daddy's up to right now. But it's his loss. He doesn't get to see what a cutie you are.
Lily leans close and gives her daughter a kiss on the cheek.
I love you.
Interior, Dorothy's hospital room, evening. Back to 1985. Dorothy and Lily watch something on TV as they eat the subpar hospital food. There's a knock at the door.
Come in.
The nurse lets in a lawyer, Mr. Hammond, carrying a briefcase.
Can we help you?
Yes, pleased to meet you.
He faces
Ms.
Dorothy.
Gardner, my name is Bernard Hammond. I've been tasked with executing the will of James Keene.
Uh-huh.
And you are?
Lily Gardner, her mother.
Excellent. Now, as I mentioned, Mr. Keene tasked me with executing his will. I wondered if now would be a good time to have a word about it.
Yes, yeah, of course.
Mr. Hammond takes a seat and opens his briefcase.
Now,
As Mr. Hammond commences with legal jargon, we don't hear the words that he says. Instead, the changing facial expressions on Dorothy and Lily's faces say it all.
of course, there will be a process, and I recommend, of course, a financial advisor. There's numerous options for keeping the money safe and secure.
Dorothy and Lily still stare at him with shock and awe. Dorothy hands a paper copy of the will in her hands.
Of course, there's an issue of the Vasquez, Crockett, and Ellington families since Keene is dead. And if you are his sole heir, I would expect to be sued.
Yeah, they can have however much they want. I'll get in touch with him, however. And I'm sorry. Is this actually happening?
Yes,
I don't know what to say.
it's what he wanted. Between us, he told me that he thought this would make up for lost time.
Well, thank you.
Mr. Hammond hands Dorothy his business card.
Call me when you get back home. We'll go over the next steps.
Yeah, of course.
He leaves and Dorothy collapses under her hospital bed.
What on earth?
I
mean, he can't just do this. He can't just think that it erases everything that he's done.
$2 billion.
I'm going to give most of it away.
Where?
Sylvie, Lucy, and Marta's family. I'll give them however much they want, but after that, I don't know. But there's so many people and places that need it. I don't know. My head is just spinning right now.
That's okay.
She squeezes Dorothy's hand.
One step at a time.
Interior, Dorothy's hospital room, day. Back to 1985, the next day. Dorothy and Lily both are resting. Just then, there's a knock at the door, and then a female doctor enters, carrying her discharge papers. When the doctor speaks, she hears Sylvie's voice, sees her face.
Miss Gardner, I have wonderful news. You can go home today.
Of course, it's not her, but the association sticks.
That's great.
She hands a shaking Dorothy the discharge papers.
Thank you.
Physically, you're in perfect shape. Mentally, however, I would consider reaching out to someone when you get back to the US. It might help. You've been through a lot.
I'll look into it.
The doctor smiles wryly at her.
All right, Miss Gardner, best of luck with everything.
Interior, hospital, lobby, day. The nurse leads Dorothy into the lobby. Lily walks beside.
Is your car outside?
We have to call a taxi.
The nurse turns to Dorothy.
Can you stand?
Yeah.
Still, the nurse offers Dorothy her arm. She stands up, wobbly, but maintains her balance.
Safe travels back to America, Miss Gardner.
The nurse leaves. Dorothy's eyes start to scan the room. Lily gestures to a nearby phone booth.
I'm going to call the taxi, okay?
Dorothy nods. Before she says anything else, she sees Gavin coming down the hall into the lobby with his mother, Mrs. Wolfe, in her 40s, a kind-faced woman, and a different nurse. She realizes something. Gavin only has one arm. They repeat the same routine as he gets out of the wheelchair and stands on his feet. They make eye contact. Dorothy approaches him. She is clearly unnerved that his arm is missing, but she moves toward him and wraps him in a long, tight hug. He uses his good arm to return it. Mrs. Wolfe waves and smiles. The hug ends, and Gavin regards Dorothy for a moment.
Heading back home?
This evening, yeah.
We fly out early tomorrow.
I can't believe
Don't even.
it's my fault that you got shot.
You did what we needed to do to survive. I'm going to get a prosthetic when I get home. I figure I'll save up for a bionic one and look like Cyborg.
Dorothy gives him a look.
Comic book character.
Ah, okay.
I was hoping I'd see you before we both left. I'm glad I did because
Gavin takes a slip of paper out of his pocket. Dorothy opens it and sees that it's a phone number.
if you ever find yourself in Superior, Wisconsin, or I'm in Atlanta, or you just want to talk, call me anytime.
Yeah, okay.
Dorothy slips the paper into her pocket and they exchange a tired smile. Interior, airplane, day. Dorothy and Lily sit on the plane as the flight attendants perform their checks of the cabin. Just then, the pilot comes over the PA, reading the typical spiel. Dorothy slinks back into her seat.
Arrival at 8:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. London-based flight crew is happy to serve you today. Local weather is about 18 degrees Celsius or 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Beautiful day to be in the air. We'll be departing shortly.
Lily squeezes Dorothy's hand and gives her a reassuring look. Dorothy closes her eyes to rest, and shortly they hear the sound of the plane's engine. Interior, Crockett home, living room, day. Some months later, it's winter. It's awkward and uncomfortable as Dorothy sits in a modest living room beside Sylvie's mother.
Sorry my husband couldn't be here. He had to work late, but he did want to meet you.
That's okay. Yeah, next time.
Dorothy looks at a photo album of Sylvie in her youth. In one, she's wearing a Wonder Woman t-shirt.
She loves Super Friends, the cartoon. She wanted to be Wonder Woman when she woke up, grew up.
Mrs. Crockett, I know I only knew your daughter for a few days, but I want to thank you for inviting me into your home.
She was just so excited when she was picked. It's hard to believe she's gone.
Dorothy sets the album aside.
I can only imagine how difficult this must be for you, and I want to help however I can. I know that no amount of money is going to bring her back, but I don't know what else to do. I mean, everyone else told me to get lost, so there's that. I didn't ask for any of this. I get calls every day from the media, and it's incessant. I'm sorry, that was probably really insensitive. I'm gonna stop talking now.
We don't need money personally, Dorothy. But we were setting up a scholarship in her name for young women who want to pursue careers in medicine.
Okay.
If there's a level you feel you would like to contribute, then perhaps we can get started.
Sure. We can discuss that.
Was she happy?
Somewhat.
What do you mean?
She was disappointed that she never felt fully accepted by the two of you. I think you know what I'm talking about. But I think the scholarship is a really nice idea, and I will help however I can.
Interior, Gardner house, living room, day. Back in Atlanta, the house is nearly empty. Lily and Dorothy finish packing their last box. Then they take a moment and stare at each other.
Well, this is it, kid.
Yeah.
How'd it go with Sylvie's parents?
Fine. They're gonna set up a scholarship for her. I'm gonna help.
Very nice.
It was weird meeting them. Reminded me what happened wasn't isolated. She had a life. I mean, of course, I knew that she did. They all did, but it just reminded me.
What's wrong?
I dream about them every night. Every night.
Have you thought of getting set up with someone?
Yeah, maybe. I just wouldn't know where to begin.
Dorothy
Take it
nods.
one step at a time.
Interior, Dorothy's penthouse, kitchen, day. Some time has passed. Dorothy enters her kitchen and makes a cup of coffee. She looks different, older, more tired. Her hair is now cut short in a chin-length bob. The penthouse, while extravagant compared to where she used to live, is modest for someone now possessing Keene's fortune. Super. 4 years later, Dorothy goes to her phone and checks the answering machine. A voice, Casey, speaks.
Miss Gardner, this is Casey calling from the photo lab, and I wanted to tell you your pictures are ready for pickup. Have a nice day.
She clicks off the answering machine. Interior, Dorothy's car, day. Dorothy drives a new car down a familiar street. As she approaches a turn, her face forms with recognition as she makes a spur-of-the-moment decision to go a different way. Exterior, Rosewood Grocery, day. Dorothy pulls up to her old workplace, but she sees that something is wrong. The lot is empty and everything looks dark. She gets out of her car and approaches the door. There's a typewritten sign posted on the door. It reads, quote, "To our loyal customers, thank you for 50 years of business. We have nothing but love and gratitude as we sadly must close our doors." Dorothy takes a moment to react before she gets back into her car. Interior, the photo lab, day. Dorothy stands at the counter waiting. Then Casey, the associate who called her, returns with her photo.
Photos from 1985, huh?
Took me a while to get around to it, I guess.
No problem.
As Dorothy pays and finishes her transaction, she turns to leave. And as she does, she sees a familiar face walk through the door, her old boss, Lisa. They make eye contact and Lisa approaches her.
Dorothy?
Hi.
This is crazy. I heard about what happened to you.
Yeah, not sure what to tell you. This is really freaky because I just went by the Rosewood for old time's sake and I saw that it closed. When did that happen?
2 months ago, roughly. We couldn't compete with the big chains. Listen, I hope you're doing well.
What are you doing now?
I'm working at an art gallery. It's different, but you know, I never did want to manage a grocery store my whole life. It's sad, but everything happens for a reason.
I guess. Well, I won't keep you.
Sure.
Good to see you.
Lisa nods and Dorothy leaves from the direction in which she came. Interior, Dorothy's penthouse, living room, day. Dorothy sits on the couch with her developed photos. She emotionally prepares herself and opens the envelope. With shaking hands, she looks at the first photo. Her in the phone booth that first day. The photos of Sylvie imitating David Bowie. She gets to the first photo of Keene, and after a moment, she tears it. She gathers all the ones of him and tears them all into tiny pieces. After a moment, she composes herself and keeps looking. Eventually, she gets to the photos of Loch Ness and Gavin. Dorothy lingers at these for a moment. Eventually, she puts the photos aside and stands up. Interior, Dorothy's penthouse, bedroom, day. Dorothy enters her bedroom, furnished similarly to the rest of the house. She makes a beeline for a certain drawer. In it, she finds a slip of paper. It's old and about to fall apart, but Gavin's phone number is still legible. She walks toward a phone on the wall and nervously dials.
This is Gavin.
Gavin, it's Dorothy Gardner.
She hears breathing on the other end, but no response.
Are you there?
Yeah, sorry. It's been a long time.
I know, it's good to hear your voice.
What are you up to these days?
Not much. You?
My mom has cancer, so we're just taking care of her now and making sure she gets better.
I'm so sorry to hear that, Gavin.
It is what it is.
Let me help. Does she need help with medical bills? Anything?
No, you don't have to do that.
Gavin, I have so much money, I don't know what to do with it. What a problem to have, huh? But the point is I want to help.
Okay.
Are you still in Superior, by the way?
Now I am, but it's funny that you called when you did because next week I'm going to be moving down to Milwaukee, closer to her.
I see.
Are you still in Atlanta?
Yes.
Why the call? Just out of curiosity.
I wanted to talk to you. I don't know.
Dorothy,
Yes?
when my mom's out of the woods, do you maybe think that we could make plans to meet? Would you want that?
You mean in person?
Yeah.
I'd like that.
Great. Let me give you a new number and we'll stay in touch.
Okay.
As they talk, Dorothy writes down a number. Then she hangs up the phone in a haze. Interior, airport, day. Dorothy waits in a crowded airport, clearly anxious. She has a purse slung over her shoulder. She looks around, but everyone is too busy to pay her much mind. Then she sees him, Gavin, carrying a suitcase. She sees him and stands up. He looks different too. His hair is longer, and he has a beard that he didn't have before. He has a mechanical arm, just like he talked about. She stands up to meet his gaze. They regard each other for a moment. Then, without a word, they embrace.
It's good to see you.
Me too.
They pull away from the hug, and Gavin regards her once more.
I like the arm.
Well, thanks for paying for it. And for, my mom's medical bills.
Anytime.
So you're rich now, huh?
Gavin, I don't. Gavin, I don't want you to see me any differently than you did before.
To be fair, I've had 4 years to stew in the news of Keene being your pops.
Yeah, well, it was news to me too. I still think about them every day.
Me too.
Just then, they see a camera flash and a paparazzi type duck behind the hallway.
For fuck's sake. Can't wait for that to be in the tabloids. Let's go somewhere more private.
She takes a baseball cap out of her purse and puts it on. pulling it as far down as she possibly can. Interior, Dorothy's car, day. Dorothy sits in the driver's seat and Gavin in the passenger seat. They're inside a parking structure.
The windows are blocked, so you can't see in.
How's your mom?
She's all right. She likes the new house. She's got this garden. She grows like fruit and vegetables and stuff. I mean, she quit her job, but I think she needs to stay busy.
I think we all do.
How's yours, by the way?
She's had better days.
I thought you said that she was doing better.
She was, and then things backslid in the last couple of days.
Are you sure she's going to be okay while you're here?
Yeah, my siblings will help. Besides, the way my mom is, she'll get mad if you try to help too much.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
You know, when you called, I thought for a minute that I was dreaming.
Yeah, I didn't mean to be radio silent for this long.
That's all right. I just figured you wanted to move on with your life, and I reminded you of bad things.
You're not entirely wrong. But the truth is, Gavin, it just needed to happen when I was ready. And I feel guilty about what happened to you.
If you mean my arm. I mean, to tell you the truth, it hasn't been easy. You never really get used to people staring as you walk down the street, and then you realize that it says more about them than it does about you. You know, you adapt, and I'm really just the same person I always was.
No, but I'm the only one without any scars. Why is that fair? And Gavin, I feel terrible that you lost your arm because you were one of the good things about that trip.
Getting all that money probably doesn't hurt either.
I gave most of it away. Well, okay, sure. Yeah, that's enough left that my mom and I are set for life. And a lot of people hate me because I kept any of it. But at the same time, when I applied for the competition, all I wanted was an escape. I wanted, even just for a little while, to do something that made me happy. And now, I mean, my old problems went away and new ones took their place. And I almost prefer the old problems. Marta should be on stage somewhere getting a standing ovation. Lucy should be painting. Sylvie should be saving lives. I would give all the money back if it would bring them back.
I understand.
Or, you know, if he'd just been a normal person, maybe we could have been a family. I think I need to work and do something. I don't know why I still live here when I can go anywhere I want to go.
Give yourself time.
It's crazy, isn't it? Before, I would dream day and night about being able to travel. Now that I can't bring myself to make any sort of plans. I guess the outside world is scary. It's going to be a new decade in a couple of months. Been thinking a lot about that recently.
How so?
Fresh start. When I was in 8th grade at the start of 1980, and I remember thinking, how exciting. It's a new decade. And I think about where I was then and where I am now, and where am I going to be in 2000?
Yeah.
What about your campground? Is that something you still want to do?
Dorothy, I can't ask you.
You don't have to. I want to help.
To be honest, lately it's felt like some stupid childhood pipe dream.
It doesn't have to be.
Okay. Let's talk about it while I'm here, okay? You've done so much for me already.
Sure. Should probably get out of this parking structure.
Good idea.
I can take you to my place first, and we'll go from there.
Dorothy starts the engine and begins to back out of the spot. As she does, she and Gavin exchange a tired smile. Fade to black. The end.